In today's episode of Scamgate, we're going to be dealing with an alleged scammer, a husband and wife team by the name of T3ME. Won't you agree? They're a beautiful family with 2 children who moved all the way from Tennessee, I believe, to Tanzania to start a new life. And of course, when we see young black people, especially those that are married and have kids, we want all the best for them. And it's very easy to like people when you are on camera. But as my good friend George Macon says, a person on YouTube can be the butcher, the baker, or the candlestick maker. My goal in this particular video is to prove that T3ME needs to become T3 and flee, because I feel that they are indeed scamming the people. All countries in Africa have a particular investment that they would like you to make as a foreigner for you to stay here. I'm in Uganda, and the minimum investment for the foreigner to register a business here and to get a work permit is $100,000. It doesn't mean that you need to have $100,000 in the country. It just means that you need to have $100,000 available to you in your account. That can be done by providing bank statements to the investment authority or someone working with the investment authority, or sending the money to a Ugandan bank account. I happen to be in the East African community, which includes countries like Kenya, Rwanda, Burundi, South Sudan, Congo, and another country, Tanzania. And so most of these countries in the East African community, or which we call EAC, work very similar. If you are a person looking to invest in Tanzania, then you need a whopping, from my research from the Tanzanian Investment Center, you need to have $500,000 available to you, either in your bank account or in some level of assets. With that proof, you would be able to get an investor's license. But wait, there's more. There are going to be additional costs, like work permit fees, in which we're seeing here on the side. And there are also residence permit fees, which vary in price, just like the work permit, depending on what you're doing. If you're doing farming, that's different. If you're doing consultation businesses, that's also different. But you also need to be able to have and pay those amounts of money to be registered by the country. Now, T3ME on their profile says, we help our people invest, rebuild, and return to Africa. So because they're in Tanzania, I would believe that their investment or your relocation to Africa, it must be where? It must be in Tanzania. Are they telling you that $500,000 is what you need to come to Tanzania and then register with the Tanzanian Investment Center? No, they're not telling you that. And the reason why they are not telling you that is because they are not qualified to handle investments in Tanzania. Anybody who can get you an investor's visa in Tanzania would most likely have you send the money to a Tanzanian bank. They would have you at least show bank statements like we do here in Uganda, and then you would pay that person to process all of these things, and you really even wouldn't need them. Your project would be registered at the Tanzanian Investment Center, but I bet you the Tanzanian Investment Center has no idea who T3ME is. They just would not know. But what tends to happen in the repatch space is people typically don't have $500,000, so you would like to go ahead and do it the quote unquote Negro way. And when you do things the cheap way, you always end up paying more in the long run. NCT3ME, they understand this. So because you don't do things in which the way the country is trying to actually promote it, then these middlemen in the black community from America can come in and fill that void, which you believe is making it easier for you, but it's really not. It's making it harder for you, because once you lose your money, and you most likely will, you have no recourse. You're not there legally in the country. You're not an investor in the country. You don't have a project registered in the country, and you most likely have not paid the fees to be doing business in the country. So therefore, when you get your money stolen from you by anybody who is there, you have no recourse. And that is exactly what a scammer would love. A position in which you have no way to win, because if you're there illegally in the first place, then at the least you have no argument, and then you can get deported and you leave with nothing in your account. Now we're going to get to the business practices of T3ME. And by explaining their business practices, what I'd like to prove is that they are unethical and unprofessional. In this particular clip I'm going to play, there is a lady that was elderly, invested into Tanzania in the Eco Village project that was ran by T3andMe. Unfortunately, there was a horror story.
So she says, another elder that was scammed out of way more money than me by T3andMe has declined to come forward. Her sister, Mama CK, said that she is still heartbroken and it has left her ill. She moved back to America after paying T3andMe to build her house, and they never finished.
But wait, there's more. What I'd like to bring up right now is the Cash App transactions. Okay, let's bring that up here. I want to deal with just Cash App alone. Many of you who have done business before with buying a home or buying a car, anything of that sort. If you have Cash App, you might send some money, but a car dealership would have a bank account. How would you feel like if you wanted to buy a car from the car dealership and they just said, oh, send the money to my Cash App? Well, doesn't Cash App have a limit you can send per day? I'm pretty sure that's the case, right? It is the case because most businesses, 99% of legit businesses have bank accounts. They would just have you wire the money to their bank account. And even Mark Meets Africa, a scammer, had a bank account that you can wire money to, but not T3andMe. They are doing their business by Cash App. So let me get this straight. I'm trying to build a home in Tanzania, and you're telling me that the way that I can do it is through Cash App? But wait, let's look at these photos while I'm in the background, and you can see the shitty work that they did being Cash App Crips by taking this woman's money and not doing the job correctly. First of all, anybody who's a real business person would not have you pay by Cash App. That is broke business. It is dusty business. And that's what a scammer would do. It would have you send the money on Cash App and not have you send the money to a bank account in which they have a registered business. Why won't they have a registered business? Because they themselves are not a registered business there in Tanzania. Let me give you an example of a work permit that I had to do. I'll bring the screenshot up here, okay? I paid for this work permit. Now, this wasn't the total amount. This was the amount of money I paid Tina over at Expat Assist to do this work for me, okay? This is a person that has helped me invest in Uganda. Now, as you can see, the amount is something like 4.5 million shillings and some change. I think 4.571 million shillings, which that's almost $1,233 US. Now, I paid $7,500 in the past for this work permit, but for me to process these fees through Tina, I paid this. If you could look at Expat Assist, a legit business in Uganda, let's look at their bank account. I'll blur their, bank account numbers out and stuff like that. But you can see from this picture, they bank with EcoBank. And the reason why she didn't have me send the money by mobile money or by PayPal or something like that is because they actually do legit business. So when you do legit business, you send legit invoices like this to your client, and then your client pays it to what? Their bank account, just like I had to pay it to their bank account. But the question that I have for T3andMe is, why don't they have a legit bank account? Why are they asking people to send money through Cash App? And the answer is very easy. Number one, they don't want to lose the sale. If an elderly person has to log into mobile banking or go to the bank and then think about this or whatever the case, they may not do it or go through with it. But then here's the main reason: they don't have a bank account in Tanzania that's registered under a business. Because if they did, they would do it this way, because this is legally binding while Cash App is not legally binding, and they don't want you to be legally binding. So then what do they tell you? Send the money over Cash App. And if you ever send any money to a person in Africa by Cash App, when Cash App is not a way of payment processing in Africa, you're already messed up. You don't use Cash App in Africa. You can use the bank. In certain countries, there's mobile money. Those things are legally binding in the country, but never Cash App. So the fact that somebody has you using Cash App to buy a house when you would never use Cash App to buy a house in the States is already letting me know that that person most likely is a scammer. Number 3, T3andMe are not home builders. They were not home builders in America. They can't be home builders here. And it just makes sense because people who've ever built a house from the ground up, which most of us haven't, would not really understand how to do it. It's almost like being a medical doctor and you've never went to medical school, but you are operating on patients. And especially doing these projects in another country when you haven't went to school for this stuff. If I'm not mistaken, neither T3, which is Tim, or his wife, neither one of them have a construction license. Neither one of them have went to architectural design school. Neither one of them have any real estate background. Neither one of them know how to build a house and have any formal training to build a house. In Tanzania, which the country they're in right now, they would not be able to produce the receipts to build a house. So my question is, why are they taking money from people from the community and saying, hey, we can build you a house? So then how do they know that these houses are safe? Let's say, for example, they are not scammers. How do they know that this house will not fall down? How do you know that you can live in this house? How do you know if you can do X, Y, and Z in this house? You don't know because they don't have that ability to do so. And furthermore, we all know that foreigners cannot own land in Tanzania. You just can't. You can only lease land, and you can lease land for a certain amount of time. But the person that's buying these houses or building these houses, they most likely do not know that and most likely do not understand that. So they are believing that they can build a house, possibly Airbnb the house up, and they probably don't know about other things that they need to stay in the country, such as a work permit, such as a residence permit, such as also maybe making money. And then you're trusting and spending your money while you're sending your money through Cash App to a person who has never done this any way, shape, or form in their entire life. And if they were to do it for you, it is a very high chance they're gonna do a bad job. And if you take the person to court, you would already be out of money anyway, and legally binding, you probably would not be. This is the perfect setup for a scammer, and T3andMe cannot show any evidence that they have any training in Tanzanian building, in Tanzanian building codes, in Tanzanian ethics as far as architectural design or to build houses. None of that do they have, and they have never done so in the past. So how can they do this for people in the diaspora, selling them some sort of dream? Now we're going to talk about the religious partition of the scam. And that is that there are organizations associated with some sect of Hebrew Israelites. Now, when I am saying this, I am not denouncing all Hebrew Israelites. As you guys know, I am a Baptist, and we have people who are bad Baptists, and we have people who are bad Catholics. So this is not a diss at Hebrew Israelites as a whole, but this tends to be a sector of criminal Hebrew Israelites who are definitely scamming people. And one of those criminal enterprises, allegedly, it is called TEOTW Ministries, also known as the End of the World Ministries. And allegedly, this ministry is ran by two brothers by the name of Keith and King. These are two gentlemen who refused to show their face. They have never shown their face. Yet and still, they are feeding customers to T3andMe in their Echo Village project. Now, if you don't believe me, here are one of the guys or both of the guys saying why they cannot show their face to the people in their ministry.
F all y'all. F all y'all. I'm a little out of, so you know I'm sick, family. You know I ain't feeling well. Y'all gotta give me a pass.
So y'all know from the very beginning, when we started this ministry, we told y'all the reason why we didn't show our faces is because the Most High told us not to. It's because the Most High told us not to. It's because the Most High told us not to.
Wait, that don't sound right.
Now that's interesting. Can you go to TD Jake's church and be in this ministry for so many years and never know what he looks like? Why is it that you have a ministry ran by two twins who refuse to show their face and nobody knows who they are, yet they have people who trust these individuals in the ministry? But that's not a problem for T3andMe. And this was all documented by YouTube channel called We Woke Now, who busted out this particular project, who busted this out as a scam.
So I want to introduce you all to the Dry Bones Project with this video that we all put together. And, the idea is that T3andMe, Stepping Stones to Home, and whoever else becomes a part of the Dry Bones project will be playing this as an outro or wherever within their videos, so that you know that they're a part of the Dry Bones project and to support them. So T3andMe, what do you all think about the Dry Bones project and you all being a part of that, and us coming together as a people around the world?
Well, I'll start off by saying thank you once again. We appreciate you, reaching out to us, and we'll further joining this project with you, man. We appreciate it. We don't take light, that you see fit that we are one of the ones to spearhead one of this journey right now.
T3andMe definitely benefit from other people sending them new victims to buy into Eco Village.
One of the things that's really important is there have been not only accusations and all those kinds of things, but people have to be able to process their emotions. In that call that we were on with Sister Bantu, there were at least 4 people that have mentioned how their money has been taken. I've had other people call me that have said their money's been taken. You cannot process this kind of thing when tens of thousands of dollars have been, whatever's happened, lost, whatever's happened to them, without dealing with the seriousness and the depth of the emotions. We have to handle these things in a way that then leads to a place where we can come together and talk. But unless people are able to process, their emotions and their thoughts and their feelings, we won't be able to get to resolution. You can't expect people to come to the table. Sister Mayafa called her, I can't pronounce her name right, but she lost a parent to her. I only know what she told me, so I can only say what she told me. But it was over, $15,000. That's a lot of money for anybody, right or wrong, for whoever's right, to have said, I've lost that. I will never recover that. I'm a retiree.
So why would these brothers who have not shown their face and who themselves have not went to Africa partner with T3andMe in the Eco Village to do this particular business? The only way that they would do it is because these guys are benefiting from it. That means even T3andMe don't know what those guys look like, and it doesn't matter because these guys are all in on the scam also. And that is how a lot of elderly people have been taken advantage of. And if you don't believe me, they have argued this point right on the live stream. But wait, there actually is more. There is a guy by the name of Jamaican African Travels 4064. He commented right on this video that I'm talking about. It was called TEOTW Ministries EXPOSED, no longer hidden. Watch to the end. Jamaican African Travels 4064 says, thank you, Pastor Kelly, for coming on board. I discovered a long time that Yakobo and T3 scamming diasporans, but because my channel is so small, it wasn't reaching the diaspora. Now, his video is in July 23, 2024, and I believe his video is called People Beware of the Land Scamming in Africa. So this is many months before I started my personal investigation with Kiki Loves Nigeria, who was also doing it before me. Let's see what he has to say about T3andMe. And mind you, this man lives in Tanzania.
So today I want to talk about buying land from T3 in Eco Village. T3 don't have any Eco Village over here. And people, when you send your money to buy land from T3, it's like when you bring some butter go put in the sun. It's going to melt right away. You have nothing to get. So just follow me, saying that we are undermining him, calling us snake, but he is a serpent and he is also a Judas that betray all these people. From the day T3 and his wife touched his foot on this continent, people have been feeding them, paying their rent, everything that they do over here, and the same people. They're robbing them and scamming them.
As you can see, there is plenty of evidence proving that T3andMe are not the most upright individuals that they prove themselves to be. Number 5, personal complaints. Now, it's one thing that you have people already indicating that you're a scammer, but it's another thing when people email and make comments that prove that such behaviors is likely true. Guys, there was so much dirt on T3andMe. I would spend like 2 hours reading all these emails. So I wanted to pick the best ones, okay? And some of these are forwarded messages from personal groups, so I will blur out people's names, but I want to read them. Now, this does involve a pastor that also sends people to T3andMe, Pastor Rick Fletcher. He's also associated somehow with TEOTW, the End of the World Ministries. So he's also a pastor of some sorts. But let's look at this email. Shalom, dear sister. I hope this day finds you well. This was written December 27, 2024 at 6:14 p.m. Shalom, dear sister. I hope this day finds you well. I understand that you have most likely gone to court over these matters. My hope is that there will be allowance for repentance and forgiveness according to the word of the Lord. In my estimation, Pastor Rick did what was right when he realized he made a grave mistake and people suffered from his influence. Now, Pastor Rick also allowed Mark to come onto his platform and T3andMe, and then both of these individuals end up scamming his members. I have rarely heard a pastor do what he did, coming on live to apologize and seek the forgiveness of those who were harmed by becoming involved in what turned out to be fraud. So Pastor Rick Fletcher, at one particular point, attacked T3andMe for scamming his members, and then he was forced by these other guys, TEOTW Ministries, to come back and apologize to the people who were given the scam, which basically pissed off the members of his online congregation. We all see through a glass dimly and in all need of the Messiah. In the service of the King, I will bleep their last name out, okay? Well, let's look at the first email. I hated the fact that I figured out that the Fords are even more corrupt than Mark and Oral. The Fords are Siobhan and Tim Ford, which is T3andMe. I did my best to assure the sister who lost $23,000 that Pastor Fletcher was fooled by those people, or by these people. Now we are having doubts. My daughter was on the call with me. Pastor Fletcher, Sister Blank, who was scammed out of her $7,000 in Yaakov. I believe Yaakov is one of the guys in that the End of the World Ministries. She asked Yaakov, who's one of the guys, I believe is either Keith or King, was he being ethical by taking and spending investors' money in the way he was doing? And he responded, yes. Whoa, I recorded his short video promoting Move to Africa. Yes, it was on us to invest or not, but Pastor Fletcher said he was personally involved. That gave this scam credibility. On the 4-way call, Pastor said he did not invest in Move to Africa. My daughter and Sister Blank can confirm this. So how could he say he was personally involved if he didn't invest? Also bothers me that he did not warn others that Oral contacted him with this new land scam. I warned him to stay away from that YouTube crowd. Both my daughter and I gave Rick Fletcher and the Fords the benefit of the doubt. The Fords are wicked people and the truth will come out about them. The whole Pan-African community here in Dar already know that they are. We thought Pastor Fletcher was just soft. Now I see a pattern of him not dealing with questionable people. This is the bad part. People are losing their life savings, falling into despair, and finding themselves in harm's way once they got over here. Did Pastor Fletcher ever apologize for his role and minister to the victims affected by his platform? Where is his shepherd's heart for the ones harmed due to him promoting wolves? Something is not right here. I must pull back and not be associated with questionable people. I pray that I'm mistaken, but so far I haven't been wrong. The corruption and deception runs deep with this crowd, and I want no part of it. I'm heartbroken, but not discouraged. These are elderly ladies that are talking to each other, not talking to me. I'm getting forwarded this stuff. Please take care and be cautious in your dealings with all these folks. Remember, these people are in a Hebrew Israelite community. I'm Baptist, so there's no way that I'm involved in this. This is what they're saying to each other. They forwarded this to me to prove that, and I'm reading to you. All throughout Proverbs, we are told not to give credibility to others by arguing with them. If anyone was paying attention to me during the live, I did not allow myself to be baited, and no one dared to question or engage me. I said what's said, then remained silent. Others let their emotions rule. Big mistake. The Fords and the twins played that tired game of baiting and deflecting, and I refuse to fall for it. I'm desperately hoping that I'm right about you and Sister Kathy. Y'all love the Most High, and I pray that He uses the two of you for His glory. Please take care and farewell. Okay, that is one of the emails. Here is another brother associated with the ministry formerly. He was a part of TEOTW Ministries, and he's going to deal with not necessarily T3ME, but the ministry that is recommending, that is sending these people to be scammed to T3ME. Okay, he says this, and I'm going to keep his name. Hello, good brother blank, aka O'Shea Duke Jackson. I was recently made aware of your videos about land scams in Africa. I was once a part of the Hebrew Israelite movement. I used to follow a gentleman by the name of Pastor Rick Fletcher and a duo of brothers named TEOTW Ministries, the End of the World Ministries. I stopped because I realized they're a cult and they run scams on their own people about returning to Africa. Here are some breadcrumbs. 1. Using prophecy to scare people into coming to Africa. Why? Who will these people contact when they come to Africa? Who's the plug already in Africa with the prophecy that's being fulfilled? Oh, it's T3ME. Prophecy is being fulfilled. There's a link to an actual sermon of this going on. 2. What nation are they building and raising funds for? Now, this is important because these guys always have fundraisers. One of the ladies you use in the video of yours was able to get in contact with Mark via this channel of Pastor Rick Fletcher, who she mentioned by name. He's also an associate of T3ME. Now, I cannot prove this, but I did talk to Mark, and he spoke quite favorably about T3ME. So when he was admitting to me that he was a part of his own scam, you know, he could tell that he was somewhat friendly to T3ME. He and the TEOTW brother seems to be facilitators of this. So what is happening is Pastor Rick, T3ME, and what people are saying is Mark also learned from these individuals, especially T3ME, I can't prove that, how to run such scams. They've been called out on this, and that may be the reason why T3ME aren't getting the finances they once were. So now they used to get a lot of money through the scam, and then the word got around the Black Hebrew Israelite community, and so they have stopped. 3, notice how they keep doing fundraisers. Yah Storehouse fundraiser. I always see this on Pastor Rick Fletcher's YouTube channel. Look at this. Here's a video from TETW refuting another online pastor who exposed them for their lies and scamming with their affiliates. Okay, that's the We Woke Now channel, right? They even investigate themselves and clear themselves in the video. At the 108 mark on this video, they make a bogus defense of T3ME with the documentation about an issue they were involved with. Dry Bones Project by TEW Ministries. Just look at who is on the page being advertised for donations. So if you look at, here are people that you can donate to, all right? All of these people are associated with some level of scamming. Journey with Us, who I see them now basically on YouTube acting as if they're, you know, they love everybody and they moved to Mauritius. They were on here and they've been caught. Their name is based in a whole bunch of scams in Tanzania. They've now left the country. Stepping Stones to Home. Here are some support. Their Cash App is there. Of course, T3ME, their support is there. So basically, they are allowing themselves to get donations, and most likely this is some level of kickback to the people from the End of the World Ministries for them getting that support. Okay. Last but not least, there is one more email that I want to read because obviously it is a lot. Greetings. The court here in Tanzania will rule on the objections from T3ME on April 24th. I am confident that it will be overruled and we will pursue these evil people. They did more than scam. They caused physical, emotional, mental, and spiritual damage to many people. YouTubers, TEOTW Ministries, and Pastor Rick Fletcher supported these scammers as well. YouTuber We Woke Now called them out. That is exactly how I got the video. His cousin, who established the African Israelite Justice Foundation, is following our case. We are dealing with these crooks, and a huge shout out to you for calling out scammers. I think T3ME Coach Mark Meets Africa. Tim and Mark look like relatives, but I have no proof. Pastor Rick Fletcher stopped supporting Mark Meets Africa only because he's under pressure to do so. A lot of us trusted ministries who promoted these scammers, and that is why T3ME got away with this, with doing this for so long. Hashtag no more. In solidarity, blank. There are many other more forwards and emails that I can read. But for the sake of editing and for the sake of time, I'm not going to read them. Okay. I think that There's more that can come out at another time. I might come back and do a follow-up video. There is a pending court case. Guys, this is sad. For those of you who are upset for me, are with me for even picking this up, I don't know how you're upset. These are elders. They may not be elders in your community. I understand that some of these people are Hebrew Israelite associated, and somebody like myself is Baptist, and that's fine. But these are the women in our community, whether you like it or not, okay? And having compassion for them, and my own mother has been following this, and you know, she wants me to stop, but I'm telling her, what if it's women that's your age that are being wiped out as a retiree? What do you do? There is enough evidence, guys, that these people are doing this. There's one more actually that I want to read from a gentleman, okay? This is from a brother by the name of Ray. I will not post his last name, okay? He says this: has anyone received a title deed from Tim or Siobhan for a property that they have paid for? I paid Siobhan for 5 acres on October 7, 2023, and I have not received a title deed or any proof of ownership. If anyone has any questions, comments, or concerns, please do not hesitate to contact me. Thank you, Ray. I will not mention his last name, okay? I asked her on email, did he ever get it? The person that was emailing me says, nope. Ray backed out of our lawsuit and tried to get his land with another group of investors. They are still fighting over that rainforest in Yambo and getting nowhere. I wasn't in the local village meeting where the third defendant in our suit allegedly signed over land to a handful of investors. Maria Claw's wife told me that Tim showed out, called the men bees and MNFers, and made throat-cutting gestures at Claude. Tim didn't have the nerve to try that with me when we were before the local village executive. You were spot on in your last live. Their company, DUICL, is a front. They sent invoices through Square. The Bajaji driver they hired as a Tanzanian investor got village land for next to nothing in his name and scammed his own people. They never went to the Tanzanian Revenue Authority to convert the village land to general land per the law in order to issue leases under the derivative right of occupancy for 99 years minus 10 days. They kept it as a village land in the name of their Tanzanian flunky in order to evade paying taxes to both the US and Tanzanian government. They demonized Jamaican African travels because they beat T3&Me by forming their company and getting their land in the Zion Echo Village away from them. So guys, this was indeed a long video with many more receipts to come. But the reality is this, family: you must abide by the laws of any African country that you want to live in. If you don't have the money to do so, then just don't go. Make sure you have the money before you go, okay? Then when you get there, you are legal and binding in that country. The person that is investing for you, be it T3&Me, be it Bomani Tyehimba, be it any of those other individuals out there who are selling land, okay? None of these people are registered to do this stuff in those countries. Not in Ghana, not in Tanzania. None of these individuals can do that. So once you start sending your money to a person that themselves are not a registered business in that country for these things, you're already at a disadvantage, okay? You should go to the investment centers and ask them, who are the people that help get registrations and licensing businesses in this country for foreigners the legal way? What's the best way to do it? Who are people you can recommend that work with foreigners to get work permits? Now, if you get scammed, that also is a possibility, but less likely. And I was lucky enough to meet Expat Assist, who handles all my stuff here in Uganda, and many other African Americans that are in Uganda. We all have worked with her, and we have never had problems. So therefore, we don't get scammed. Now, does it cost a lot of money? Yeah, nobody wants to spend $1,200 for her to process a 3-year work permit, but at the end of the day, it worked out for me. I didn't have to spend any time worrying about it. I just paid it, and our relationship is just as good as it was when I first met her in 2020, okay? Because not only did I have to get the work permit, but all of the fees you had to pay to get the work permit. You have to be registered in certain councils and things like that. And having all of that for me was better because it took a relief off of me instead of trying to be cheap and doing it a dusty way, and then you might end up being scammed. And then when you end up being scammed, you don't have any recourse. It's better to do it the right way and do it in a legit way. Well, guys, that's my time. What do you think about all of this? It's your boy O'Shea Duke Jackson. I'm out.